is shortbread on the bottom. Frangipane, which is essentially just like blondie texture. Toasted coconut, caramel, drizzled with chocolate, flaky salt. It's really, really good. So it all starts with the chocolate dough. You can do this by hand. I make it in a food processor just because I have it. It's more cleanup, but less like active work with my hands. Some Dutch processed cocoa. Powdered sugar is like basically sugar that's been processed with a little bit of cornstarch. It adds the sweetness, but it also keeps it really tender. Just a little bit of salt. So I'm just gonna pulse this just to kind of get it all incorporated, but try to get all those lumps out of there too. Yeah, ooh. Now I've got some cubed, cold, unsalted butter here. Got to try a little tenderness. Okay, so I'm gonna just pulse this a few times. You're basically coating the butter in that flour mixture. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna beat my egg with a little bit of vanilla, put that in there. And now I'm just gonna pulse till it forms that ball around the blade. That was basically it. Let's make sure. Alrighty. It's good. It's okay that there's little tiny floury bits just from the top of my food processor. And just kind of like I did with the pie dough, wrap it. It's so much easier to roll something out when you basically start with the shape that you want it to be in already. Gently roll it into the edges, also like I did with the pie dough, just to kind of keep it very even. Chill this at least 30 minutes up to overnight. The firmer it is though, the easier it's gonna be to roll out. Okay, so my tart dough is chilled for a little bit. It's definitely firmed up. It's still pretty pliable though, which is nice. Oh, hello. This rolls out like super easy. You don't have to be as delicate with it, but I do wanna make sure that I have a nicely floured surface, and I'm gonna flour both sides of this. Flour my rolling pin. You can kind of keep it moving, also like the pie dough. Make your little quarter turns here and there. I'm again looking for kind of like a 12-inch round here, like I did with the pie dough. It is kind of delicate, but again, like I said, it's like not the most precious thing. I just find it's easier for me to get a more even tart if I do press it like this. My dough is really warm at this point. I'm gonna freeze it without it trimmed so that it makes for a cleaner trim. When it's frozen, it'll be much, much sharper. Okay, I start by trimming maybe halfway along the lip, and then that way I can always trim a little bit more if I need to. I wanna make sure it's all cleaned up around the edges too, because these little bits that are left behind can burn. These scraps, I mean, this is basically like delicious chocolate dough. And you can roll this out again and make little chocolate biscuits, chocolate cookies. A chocolate biscuit. Now, if you really wanted to, you could go along the edge and trim it flush, which is what I'm gonna do here. So I just take the knife parallel with the rim, and this creates that really flush edge. Do the same thing I did with the pie dough, just making sure it has that little room to breathe. Bake this on a rim baking sheet for about 15 minutes, just until it starts to look a little bit more mattified. Wow, I am exhausted. We're rocking and rolling, we're almost there. My tart crust is cool. What is cool is that you can take it out. The frangipane sounds like a fancy, scary word, but it's truly so easy. Softened butter. Add my sugar. Together, mixing it up. I feel like Zoolander. The files are in the computer. You could also do this with a wooden spoon. What? Oh my gosh. Whoa, whoa. How high does it go? Well, I don't want to test it yet. Add my egg one at a time. Oh, which one's gonna go? Which one's gonna go? Whoa. This thing's got a lot of giddy up. So fun. Eyeball it. My almond flour, toasted coconut, and my flour. I'm just gonna mix to combine. Whoa. I'm gonna go ahead and fill my shell with the frangipane. Just use an offset spatula to get this in an even layer. This is gonna go back in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, just until the frangipane is kind of baked through. You think you just fell from a coconut tree? Okay. We're at the last stage of our coconut caramel tart. We gotta make the toasted coconut caramel. You can make a caramel, I promise you. It's not difficult. You do not need to be scared. Repeat after me. I can make a caramel. I am gonna do what's called a wet caramel. So I'm basically starting with sugar and a little bit of water. Set that over probably like a medium-ish heat right now just to get the sugar dissolving. I'm gonna continue to stir it right until the sugar is dissolved because I don't want my sugar to crystallize. So I have a measuring cup of water and a brush here. So if I see any bits of sugar along the side, I am gonna go and brush it down. You'll know the sugar's dissolved when it's pretty clear. I am gonna stop stirring it. You really just wanna swirl it so that you don't get like really dark bits of caramel on one part and then light bits on another. My sugar is all dissolved. These bubbles are essentially pretty rapid right now because it's driving off a lot of that water. You can see around the edges of the pan here, I'm starting to get more of that golden color. I think I'm about ready to add my coconut milk, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the cooking by adding my coconut. It will bubble very vigorously. That is okay. And I just really want to cook it down so it reduces even more. I want this to be at that chewy stage. So if you have a candy thermometer, 250 is what's considered the softball stage. So I'm at 250. You can see that the bubbles have started to slow down a little bit, become a little bit more viscous. And now I'm gonna add my butter, my salt, and my toasted coconut. And this really just helps stop the cooking even further. Oh my goodness. The addition of the toasted coconut in there makes it smell truly so good. Let it hang out for another few minutes, and then I'm gonna pour it over the tart that I made earlier. Forgot the vanilla, but no worries. Cool. Oh, it already smells like the Girl Scout cookie. We're filming this in Virgo season, and I wanna make sure it looks really pristine. So you can see it's still really spreadable. It's almost like a frosting. My chocolate dough wasn't perfect, but this kind of hides everything. Okay. I think I'm gonna live a little dangerously and try to take this out. Everybody's looking at me like I shouldn't do it. I think it's gonna slide right on out. Now I'm just gonna drizzle some melted chocolate on it, sprinkle it with a little flaky salt. I'm gonna blitz this in the microwave just to melt it. You don't want it to seize, so just go in short bursts and stir every few seconds. I'm gonna stop. Okay, while the chocolate is still melty, sprinkle it with some salt. All right, now I'm gonna let it set up while we finish the rest of our pies before the pie strap gets up.